I was talking, so I wouldn't have been able to concentrate and do what I needed to do. I'm a fucking one-trick pony here, pal.
Right.
Wow. It didn't always used to be this way.
It's gotten worse.
It's gotten fucking worse, man. It is what it is. But anyway, talking about that crazy. Don't fucking tell me I can't do something. You know what I mean? So anyway, we're just having a little conversation before the show and
about how you're going back to the Navy to suck dick for 2 weeks.
No,
for free.
The Coast Guard this time.
Coast Guard.
Yeah.
Man, they're gonna.
Yeah. I talked to Vinny, and he's going to loan me some of his glory hole equipment so I can bring it down there and make some money. Make some sailors. Support.
Well, you'll be serving your country
once again.
Yeah,
yes.
Servicing men by serving your country.
Guys got to do what guys got to do.
Serving your country by servicing men.
And $20 is $20.
Man, I'll bet they see in your mouth and they all just were salivating and shit drooling.
They should.
Like this guy coming aboard.
They should. I mean, I'm a high priced hoe. So we're talking. What did we say we're talking about last week? We're going to talk about.
Well, I think it was a recommendation, right?
Yeah.
I can't remember from who, but somebody recommended because we were asking for ideas because we have just fucking flown the coop on.
For sure.
We should be like we were just talking about ADHD. We should be the ADHD podcast because we used to have a set, and then somehow or another we ended up talking about.
Just got
transgender
on tangent after tangent.
I don't even know half the shit we talk about. It's just basically
what
stuff we would talk about
this week.
Right. Stuff we would talk about in front of a fire or something. We're now
talking about. Real quick, I have to apologize. We are having a little bit of technical difficulties. The camera looks like shit tonight because my other one shit the bed on me. So good thing I had the backup. Otherwise, we'd be doing a shitty ass laptop camera.
Yeah, like I said, man, you should have said something. I would have brought. I got that same one because you recommended it to me. I could have just brought it over.
You know what sucks? I mean, when it worked, it was a great camera. It was clear. It was sharp. No problems. But I don't know, man. It's Chinese made, so I probably have all kinds of fucking.
They probably got all your information, and now they don't need it anymore. So they just shut the camera down.
Yeah, pretty soon they're going to turn it back on when they realize all that information ain't worth shit.
That's what I always say, man. If you're listening to my conversations,
right?
Oh boy,
right. And we have 2 listeners in the room, so that's a first. I mean, that's great. Hey, welcome there. Let's see who we got here. Nobody. Oh, that's why. That's great. Once again, the ADHD's kicked in to full extent.
Oh, is it mistitled?
Yeah. That's what happens when I'm doing so many damn shows. I guess that's not really a problem. But anyway, so yeah, let's talk Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay, well, you start because, like I said, we got we had actually meant, or at least I had to make notes, but I started just about 30 minutes ago. I put on some YouTube videos, and like I told you, I wasn't going through 4 hours worth of total play. So
I had a plan. I was going to pull a couple video, and we're offline right now. That's all right. I was going to pull a couple clips from one of my favorite. It wasn't. I mean, it was a cartoon, but it was the School Rocks. Or was it School Rocks? The little ones that taught you something.
Schoolhouse Rock.
Schoolhouse Rock. That's what it was. But as I was telling you the story about all these damn training courses I had to do, don't tell me I can't get something done. So, unfortunately, I didn't get what I wanted to get pulled up. But I'll talk about it. Again, it's not really a cartoon, but one of my favorites was the Schoolhouse Rock. I'm Just a Bill. One of my favorite ones, man. That and Conjunction Junction. So much
Conjunction Junction, yeah.
Bless you, dog. So much so that I showed the kids not too long ago. Oh, you got to see this. And, their reaction was, why? Why are you showing me this? I could be on my phone. I could be playing Fortnite. I could be doing anything but watching this gay ass shit my dad's showing me right now. It was hurtful.
Yeah.
But no, man, I'm just a Bill. I loved it because it taught you something when at my age,
When you didn't want to be being taught something,
right?
that they were doing it anyway.
Learning wasn't cool in school.
This is my time,
That's
and
right.
I freaking trying to learn me.
They snuck it in there, and they got me anyway. But yeah, so I'm just a Bill. Yes, I'm only a Bill. It taught you, man. Bill becomes a law. What the fuck's going on right now?
Did
You
it?
know what I
'Cause
mean?
I just remember the music being catchy, but I don't think I learned a fucking thing from those things. If they were trying to teach me on a Saturday or after school,
Right.
it's shut down.
Now, I will say,
Closed up, man.
I would agree with that with the conjunction junction because I just remember the song. It didn't teach me a damn thing.
What the fuck's that even about? The
It's-
conjunction
it-
junction.
it's,
It's about a roadmap.
It's English.
Okay.
It's about grammar.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Come on,
stupid.
man. Conjunction junction. Watch y'all function.
I know the song, dude, but it just basically
hooking up verbs and whatever the fuck else he said.
it just comes down to I don't know, dude. When I was going through the videos earlier and just kind of everything I noticed, I was fast forwarding and I'd stop. And every time I'd stop, it would stop on a fucking commercial because I realized that's all it was. Our Saturday morning events were cartoons, but we were watching commercials and it was toy commercials and it was candy commercials and cereal commercials.
Oh, yeah.
So I think what we were really watching were Saturday morning cereal commercials with some cartoons
mixed in it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Damn. So I do have my favorite, the Looney Tunes. Not necessarily any particular one. It didn't matter if it was Bugs Bunny or if it was Taz or if it was a Roadrunner, just all of it, man. I loved the old Looney Tunes, not that crap they came out with in like, was it the 90s or 2000s? It's like they're Looney Babies or some crap. I don't remember what it was, but it was garbage. It was awful. And then, back then, Elmer Fudd, nobody gave a shit if he had a gun and he was shooting at the rabbit or the wabbit. But recently Elmer Fudd doesn't have a gun anymore.
No?
No. I read something about that somewhere. But
so what does he hunt with? Carrot in a fucking box?
Tampon and a fucking mask.
Oh, dude, what the fuck? It's
Plug the wabbit.
Constant
bombardment
with of being
ignorance. But we're not going to talk about that tonight.
No, we won't get into that. We always get off because that'll just lead us down these. Well, yeah, we got to be very careful because we always seem to step, and the next thing you know, we're talking.
But I loved, and I can't remember if Scooby-Doo was on Saturdays. I want to say it was, at least for a while. Was it
like a pup named Scooby-Doo? I think that was because I think Scooby-Doo was more before our time, right? Like,
no,
I mean, 70s,
yeah,
but not really 80s. They started branching off into like
Scrappy.
Cool Ranch Dorito and shit. Like we were getting a pup named Scooby-Doo, and then there was like Scrappy. Yeah, Scrappy. It was kind of like Tom and Jerry too, right? They used to kind of be a thing, and then it went like Jinxie, or was it Jinxie? Or
I don't know. But Tom and Jerry wasn't a Saturday thing, though. At least what I remember, it was on every day. I used to watch it every day after school.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tom and Jerry, man.
But was it on the mornings? Because
no, well,
it may have been, but I can't remember.
Right, I just remember it being on after school, but I don't remember. I'm trying to remember. I don't know what I had for breakfast. I'm trying to remember back in the 80s. I can't remember if Scooby-Doo was on Saturday mornings or if it was like in the mornings when I was getting ready for school. Because you remember back then they used to have cartoons on in the mornings too. Yeah,
and we had the Pink Panthers were on a lot. We had the Scooby-Doos; they were always on.
For real.
Yeah, we had Tom and Jerry. It was a big one. Looney Tunes, and I'm sure there were others. I can't think of them.
You know what's crazy? I used to identify with Scooby a lot. Now it's more like Shaggy. Like, hey man, you got a Scooby snack?
Well, isn't one of them gay now? Or is that
was Fred?
Yeah, it's crazy to think because we never
crossed our minds.
Sexuality. It wasn't a discussed topic
Right.
like it shouldn't have been.
Scooby and Shaggy were potheads.
Did
Velma
we
was
even
a
know
lesbian.
that? I don't remember. I remember.
No.
I thought maybe as I grew up, I thought maybe he was a hippie because it was during that
Total
era.
hippie.
A hippie. The van.
Yeah.
Stuff like
The
that.
shaggin' wagon. I mean, the Mystery Machine.
But they were hardworking guys, man. Like they were, they were kind of the scruff offs, but they even managed to foil. They were like the fucking Abbott and Costello.
Yeah, of the cartoon
mixed in with the
world.
Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple.
But look, but looking back on it now, yeah, Scooby and Shaggy were potheads. Velma was a lesbian. I'm pretty sure Daphne was probably a lipstick lesbian, and Fred was queer is all get out. What's that say? I can't read
The
that.
Smurfs and Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, Smurfs. Okay, yeah, I remember Smurfs. All right, I'm gonna break down a wall here and tell on myself. I played Dungeons and Dragons for a little bit
Mm-hmm.
when it
The
first
board
came
game?
out. No, it was really dorky shit.
What do you mean? There was a board game and they're like.
No, before the board game, they had these. What I remember, I don't remember a whole heck of a lot about it because it was like
it's like the books,
like 7th
right?
grade. Yeah, the books and you like role play theoretically, but I don't remember. We never had a board. I don't know.
It was huge, dude.
You had the dice, the 12-sided, 20-sided dice and all that crap.
You know what that really meant?
Sure don't.
You weren't getting any pussy.
Well, no, man. I was young.
It was going to be a while. Yeah, it was going to be a while.
Yeah,
too.
I don't even think my nuts dropped. You were setting the
precedence right there.
Right.
Yeah, you were definitely setting
I started to for sure, and then realized what the hell I was doing, and then it's like, oh my, like who is that? Oh, what's up? I can't even. I can't read it, man. I need to get my eyes checked again. Gets even worse if I take them off.
There was a cartoon, Saturday morning cartoon, Dungeons and Dragons, right?
I don't remember. I'm not going to say
later 80s on that.
I mean, later 80s. I was essentially
the Flintstones. You know the one because I grew up watching the Flintstones, which was basically the Honeymooners, right?
Yeah,
wasn't it kind of the Honeymooners?
Yeah. Now that I think, I never thought of it that way before.
Yeah, it's basically a cartoon Honeymooners, but that was a prime time show. Like it originally was like The Simpsons. Like they would air that. During
it came on
evening.
Night.
It was like for adults,
right?
And then the ones that I remember were the Bam Bam and Pebbles Hour. Bam Bam Pebbles Hour. Remember that?
No.
So they were growing up, and that was in the late 70s. Yeah, dude. I remember I watched the shit out of that. Bam Bam Pebbles, and then there was another one like the Flintstones Happy Hour or some shit like that. Geez. But Pebbles and Bam Bam grew up. And they became musicians, and they had a band, and it kind of followed them. Yeah, yeah, they were killing it in the 70s, dude.
I believe you. I just can't remember any of this, man. And I almost guarantee I probably watched it because I love the Flintstones.
Yeah, I guarantee it did. And then they came out with the Flintstone Kids, and that was like early to mid 80s, and I watched the shit out of that too, along with Dennis the Menace. Remember Dennis the Menace?
I do remember Dennis the Menace, yeah.
But I was a big Dennis the Menace. I would walk down. We had a Kmart by us. I would always walk there on the weekends and take like whatever money I had. I'd buy those little books that would just be like 1-page comic strips, like that.
Yeah.
And I'd sit, take it home, and get in my closet, turn my light on, and read those things. And I just had the blast. So when the cartoon came out,
so when did you come out of the closet?
When I was done with the book. I tell you what, I didn't join the Coast Guard to come out of it.
Well,
for 2 weeks for free.
Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do, man. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, the Flintstones.
Oh, the Jetsons.
The Jetsons, which was from the Flintstones universe,
right?
Because we would have never said universe back then, right? We would have said, I think they're in the same. Done by the Hanna-Barbera.
I never thought of that.
Grape Ape. I watched the shit out of that. But that was kind of like a Scooby-Doo knockoff, right?
Yeah,
wasn't it total like that?
Total knockoff. What about Captain Caveman?
So good. They were fucking killing it. Hanna-Barbera.
Oh, yeah.
Killing it. Yogi Bear.
Yep, Yogi Bear. Hey, boo-boo.
Yep.
How about a picnic basket?
Yep, Yogi Bear.
What about Droopy? Did you ever watch Droopy? The dog.
Yeah, that's when you making me angry or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Droopy the dog and
Snagglepuss.
Snagglepuss.
Exit stage left. That he was supposed to be gay, right? But we didn't know it then because there was a lot of
Right.
people. We've talked about this before. That there was a lot of people that we thought, well, they're different.
Right.
I don't think they were making a movement. It was just part of the character. But I
Yeah.
always liked him.
Yeah.
Snagglepuss. Snagglepuss.
See,
Is that what I said?
Snagglepuss.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if that's how things were today, it'd be great. All right, you're gay. Cool. Let's move on. But quit ramming it down. You know, I almost feel like I almost feel bad for the gay community now because the transgender is taking over everything.
And they wanted it.
They got it. That's right.
There you go.
So, but yeah, back then, looking at things through the lens of a child, yeah, you didn't care about that. He talked funny, and he was funny, so who cared?
Well, you as a kid, you would identify people by accents. Well, he must be from the South,
Yeah,
or he must be, from another country. And there was a Marvin. He's a Marvin Martian, right? He was an alien.
Space modulator.
Yeah, there. And he had, so you knew that was how we identified things. We just knew they were different from us.
Right.
We didn't need anybody preaching to us why they were different and how we should,
we
should
care.
respect them for being different.
Yeah.
And we already knew that.
Because how about it? At that age, we already had it figured out.
I can see where this is going right now. We're going down that freaking.
I'm trying not to.
We're going to back out.
I'm trying not to. I just, you speaking of accents, how about Foghorn Leghorn?
Oh, I love that one. Do you remember the one? Because that was part of the Looney Tunes, right?
Yeah.
And he would babysit that genius.
Yeah.
Boy,
I'll say, boy.
This boy is driving me nuts. And it's still funny that I seen it about a year ago. It was on some channel and I had to stop. And I started watching it again. And so he tries to hide. This boy is driving me nuts. And he went and hid from him to take a nap. And he freaking sleeps on this, goes behind a barn or something, sleeps on a shed. And the kid does a calculation. This boy will never find me over here. And next thing, there's a little calculation on a chalkboard. Next thing you know, he freaking digs a hole and he falls into it. He's like, go!
You know what? It's so funny to me because I grew up in the South. And that's the stereotypical freaking Southern old dude right there. And that's why it's so funny because you lived it and then you see it being made fun of, which you want to make fun of it so bad, but you're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And they're doing it for you. And it's great. What did Harry say? What's up, Harry? Neither one of us can see where the shit.
I can't see because your speaker.
Oh, move that motherfucker. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, but the Flintstones, they had.
What'd he say?
He says, what am I, your fucking interpreter? He says, happy anniversary, March 20th, 2003. And now he says, what's up?
What?
Get you. Can you, Harry, can you type in Braille by chance? Or tones? What the fuck is going on here?
I don't know, man.
Yeah, so the Flintstones had, if you think about it, and Hanna-Barbera in general, they had, I was the what would you call that? Not this, the variety.
Yeah, it was that's exactly what you call it because they
spinoffs. Right?
Well, they had a lot of spinoffs, but the variety because they had something for everyone. If you didn't like this, well, hell, watch this show we put out. And so much. Yeah, it was really cool. What about Jabberjaw? You remember Jabberjaw?
Oh yeah, that was the shark, right?
Yeah.
And that was a Scooby-Doo. That
was like a Scooby-Doo.
By the way, too. It didn't go unnoticed as a kid. Even that guy's on land more than he's in the ocean.
Right.
Just fucking strolling around.
Yeah.
Right.
Nobody's
in a car one, for
But let's go back to Captain Caveman though.
Yeah.
How good did that guy have it?
He had the two girls, right?
He's hanging around. Yeah. They got their band. They're in a band, and man.
Yeah, he was the original gay guy because he was what's the word I'm looking for? He was non-threatening to them.
Totally.
Oh, he's a caveman. He's non-threatening. He was the original gay guy. He's non-threatening. He was probably just tearing it up.
Oh yeah. With his big club, if you know what I'm saying.
You see it freaking part, his hair part.
Gross.
Holy shit.
I thought you put your club down.
It's like an old John Holmes porn. Remember? They couldn't not comment on his dick. Wow, you're big, aren't you? That literally looked like a third leg. Yeah. Here we go again. Tripod. I don't want to back us out.
All right, man. All right. So there I was watching Saturday morning cartoons.
So, what did you say? What about Casper the Ghost? Because that was in the same Yogi Bear universe, right?
Yeah, ignore that comment. There's another chat bot right there. I didn't really watch Casper too much. I think I was probably a little bit too old for that at that point.
No, because that was they were in the 70s.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't really remember watching it much.
Okay.
It just didn't. Even to this day, it doesn't do much for me.
Okay.
But I loved watching Scooby and Shaggy get stoned.
They,
solve their mysteries.
So that's like an adult observation, right? Because we sure as hell, they didn't ever really allude to that. It wasn't like they were just surfy kind of hippies.
Keep in mind though, man, when I watched them since I was little growing up, and they were still on in the mid 80s. In the mid 80s, I was in my teens, man. So you know what's going on when you got buddies that are smoking weed.
Yeah, I never thought much about it. You always thought I always thought Daphne was hot, even as a cartoon, right? You're like, man, why isn't you wanted there to be a relationship? You're like, why isn't Fred dating Daphne? But they didn't go there. You wondered, and you knew you wasn't going to fuck Velma. No one's going to fuck Velma.
I always wondered why he wore a scarf or an ascot. Even as a kid, I didn't associate.
He was rich, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he was supposed to be really from a wealthy family, and the rest of them were just people he knew from college.
But I didn't associate the scarf with fabulous.
Ascot. Ascot.
Yeah, I still call it a scarf. Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was looking back on it, and it's kind of fun. And I'm not judging, but it's kind of fun looking back on it with adult lenses now. Yeah, oh yeah, he's queer.
So remember, they would always meet people like that. They were the who's who. They were the Johnny Carson of cartoons. Because like each week it would be like Batman and Robin, Globetrotters. They had Abbott Costello.
Always special guests.
Yeah, I remember Barney Fife being on one, right? Like he was on.
Was he? Really?
Yeah, and Casey Kasem was like.
Well, Casey Kasem was the voice.
That's right. What the fuck am I thinking of?
I don't know.
I'm just making shit up now.
Well, go ahead. I mean, nobody's listening anyway, so I mean, yeah.
Yeah, there was they would always have somebody that, and they would do it was just basically a mystery, but they'd kind of a mix of Halloween in there and stuff like that because you had the costumes and
yeah, it was just a fun show, man. It was because the I don't know if you want to. I guess you could kind of sort of call it a variety show of cartoons, because those were all the rage back then, like the Gong Show, and you had Merv Griffin, you had Diana Shore, and then later evenings,
Diana Shore had a talk show, right? That was
but she'd always have she'd have a musical guest or something like that. It was kind of something for everyone, and that's how I feel. Scooby-Doo was for cartoons for kids. And and you know what? 9 times out of 10, I know, at least for my sake, I may have known like Abbott and Costello because my parents used to watch them on TV. But for the most part, I didn't know who these people were that were guests. That was more for the adults.
Yeah, back then we wouldn't have known. We had to grow up, maybe see them on TV, and then go, well, that makes sense. What about we had somebody bring up the Smurfs.
I think Smurfs came out late 80s, right? Mid to late.
That was early 80s, dude. Because I was a kid, like 8 maybe, or even younger. But they just blew up. I mean, they were huge. There were all kinds. There was Pac-Man. There was Pac-Land. Everything. The crazy thing when I was watching just earlier, watching the run through, there were cereals. We talked about that. Every cartoon had a fucking cereal. So like there's, and we'll be right back after this, and then G.I. Joe, and roll out. There was a fucking G.I. Joe cereal, and they all were the same thing. It was corn cereal, and they would put it like G.I. Joe's had stars and circles, and G.I. Joe cereal, and then it just had their label.
Right.
And I remember there being Donkey Kong. Smurfs. Yeah. There was Donkey Kong, Smurfs. There's Mr. T cereal, because I used to love. Remember that show, Mr. T and Friends? Oh, yeah. What about Godzilla and Godzuka?
But was that a cartoon?
Yeah, dude, because they'd be on the ship. It was like
I don't remember watching.
They'd always get fucking in some sort of trouble.
But I remember watching the old Japanese movies of Godzilla and Godzuki.
No, it was a cartoon. He was like
I never.
I remember
it.
even as a kid, 'cause I loved Godzilla's and going, this is the stupidest looking Godzilla ever. Because he just looked just looked bad. And but they would push the button, they'd get in some sort of shit. Every fucking show, they'd do something. They're in over their head and they're like, what do we do? And they had a remote control. And they'd push it and he'd come out of the water.
Oh, God.
He'd come out of the water. I mean, they never had the episode, but I'm sure it was deleted. But the day he just said, fuck those guys.
Right.
He said, fuck them. He's like laying down there on the couch.
You're on your own,
watching
bitches.
TV. Like they're in trouble again. Fuck them. I'm tired of this shit. No one's paying me for this.
What's Billy saying over there? Johnny Quest. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, and that was mostly underwater, right? They were always submerged.
Was that the one? I don't think so. I think they were a lot, but I don't think that was the primary focus. Because didn't he have that little Punjabi dude as his sidekick? Am I thinking of the wrong one? Yeah. No? I can't read.
Haji?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Haji, Punjab, fucking whatever, Ahmed and whoever.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? My friend. I have a deal for you.
Yeah.
I gotta, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna look on here because I can't read shit.
Yeah, Johnny Quest. There was Speed Racer, right?
Oh yeah,
of course. Then the Transformers came along and that.
But wasn't Speed Racer more like? That wasn't Saturday morning though, right?
Dude, I don't know.
I think that was like.
I know I've seen them all, and I know in most cases they had to be on Saturday morning before they would go into syndication, and we would generally see them after that all the time because we get home from school and they would be on.
Good point.
And we would. So, but that would have to be after syndication, right?
I can't remember, man.
See, the thing was Reagan changed the laws in. So He-Man originally, I think they wanted to sell toys, but they had to. He-Man was just one long commercial, is what it was. So they would make those cartoons to sell toys, and that was after the Reagan administration passed those laws where they could now go directly at kids because they couldn't do that up until then. Mm-hmm. And Reagan got into office, and he passed some sort of law where they could pander their shit. Well, just go watch one of those 80s. It's all. Go bother your parents to buy this shit. Go bother them to buy the new toy. It's all.
That's where I got my best ideas, man.
Yeah, dude, it's all fucking toys. It's all cereal. It's all candy. It's like, so during one commercial break, I seen a G.I. Joe toy set, Skeletor toy set, G.I. Joe cereal, and fucking Twix commercial. That was one Saturday morning cartoon commercial.
That's great.
Time you're done with that, you've already spent $50 of your parents' money, which would have been $300 back then.
Or, no, you didn't. Because no matter how many times you asked, the answer was always no.
No, you always you got a birthday coming up. You'd be like, fuck.
I didn't even get that.
No?
Just straight up no.
Like, you get a ball of yarn.
Yeah.
I got rocks again.
Yeah.
I got an apple.
Here.
I got rocks.
I got something delivered here. You can have the box, kid.
You were just Charlie Brown.
Womp womp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't all that bad, but it still, we didn't have throwaway cash growing up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I had enough to pay the bills, put food on the table.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this is Saturday morning cartoons, not fucking Mr. Robinson's.
No. It fits because you're talking about how the commercials were geared towards the kids,
mm-hmm.
and think how all the kids that weren't fortunate to get whatever they wanted when they wanted it had to go through the fucking no every damn time.
Well, that was the best part about it, though, dude. Is I didn't get that shit either. Like, I collected Star Wars shit like it was insane, and it wasn't like I got it all. I didn't even get it at Christmas time. I never got a lot of the stuff I'd still love to have. It's just unaffordable today.
Right.
I remember always wanting the Millennium Falcon. That thing was a fortune back then, right? I mean, in those dollars, I didn't get it. I remember, well, you save your birthday money up. So my grandma would send me some money. My aunt would send me some money. I might get some, but it was back then you get $5 fucking. Right. You have to tally it up. What can I get with $25? And I think I got like an X-Wing. If I was lucky, I remember one time my aunt sent me the snow speeder.
Did you say $25?
Yeah, that's what it was. I remember specifically.
Depending on where you go, a Diet Pepsi and a blowjob.
Those are good countries. They don't know how good they got it.
Sometimes a beer, depending on where you're at. I did mean to cut you off, but
No, that's all right.
it's just the voices in my head again.
Well, that was what it was like, dude. But the great part about that is that you would watch those, and I still get that magic even tonight, just seeing it.
Mhm.
The music, the start, they'd set that shit all up. The kids would be playing. They'd have like a little hole dug out, and a bridge would flop over, and they were driving their tanks across it, and the music would be going, and it was really magical if you think about it. But it would give you something to look forward to. I'd love to have that, but I can't get that because I got to save my money to get that. It was everything was just always out of reach, right?
Always.
But you could get a few things or ask for a few things. You better make it a winner. And you'd get it for Christmas or your birthday.
Hopefully, I don't know what your situation was, but I was fortunate to have a friend that got that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And although, I was jealous because I didn't have it, it was still cool to be able to play with that stuff.
What was neat was that you would get certain things, well, at least up until Star Wars came along, because then fucking everybody started getting Star Wars. So you had the same toys as your friends. But up until that point, you might have Stretch Armstrong, and then you go to your friend's house who didn't have it, but he had Rock'em Sock'em robots or whatever. So you could.
Did you ever trade?
Oh, fuck yeah, dude. I remember the worst trade I ever made. I made a lot of bad trades. I didn't have that economic kid trade sense. I'm sure everyone was laughing. Like, this fucking idiot just gave me this. But I got a cheap ass remote control car that would just go in circles. I remember they'd have back then, dude. Remember they had those little, it was like a narrow controller like that and had just a steering wheel on it. That's what you got, a fucking steering wheel. You go left and you go right. There was no backing up. You'd have to, if you wanted to back up, you'd have to go around in a circle and go back that way. That's what you got. And I traded that one time for I gave the guy a bicycle.
What?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Did you get your ass beat for that?
Yeah. No, dude, that's no, because like I don't even think my parents believed it. Until maybe they see him riding around on my bicycle. But dude, it was like worst trade ever. That's like a money to Ukraine kind of shit. And we won't go down there, but that's kind of what that is. That's like, I'm getting fucked. I'm getting fucked any way you look at it. But I remember watching him as I was spinning my stupid car around because we had a linoleum in our kitchen. That was like, because don't forget that you couldn't ride those remote control cars on concrete because they didn't have the power to go over the rough concrete.
And it would tear those tires up. Yeah,
you'd have to find something smooth. That's how you get the best service from them. Mm-hmm. But I remember watching that kid ride around on my bike outside afterwards, and I had his cheap ass freaking, remember those wire antennas they'd have sticking out there, like the freaking flimsiest. They get caught on, like, you go underneath the kitchen table, you couldn't even get underneath the kitchen table because that fucking antenna would get stuck, and you and his freaking wheels would come up. You're like, God dang it, you got to go unhook it.
This sucks, man.
Worst remote controls ever.
I can remember. I don't remember what the objects were, but I can remember being told many times, go get that back.
I'm sure I did. I'm sure I had to go get it back. Or
I did not spend that money on that for you to give it to somebody for some piece of shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I heard that a lot. But whatever. Being an adult now, I get where he was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, it's like, dude, I wanted that, and he wants this, and bada boom, bada bing.
Here's what happened though. You really only wanted it for like an hour,
right?
Then you wanted your fucking bike back,
right?
That's what I really wanted to just use your car for an hour because I didn't have one. Then I want my bike back, but that's not how it went down back then because you trade and it was gone,
right? Until one of the parents gets on the phone with the other one.
Yeah, I don't even know if that happened. I can't remember now, but bad trade.
Yeah, I know I made bad trades. I can't remember any of them, but whatever. Like I said, I don't remember what I had for breakfast. Damn near impossible to remember. Fucking 40 years ago.
What about do you remember the Pac-Man cartoons?
Yeah, I did. I never really watched them, but I
pretty brief, right? They had a Cubert too, right? Because the video game craze was really big. We had a Dragon's Lair. Remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah, I didn't really watch that one either. Again, that I was getting into my teen years, and I was I had discovered something pink, warm, and moist, and I didn't care about those other stuff anymore. You know what
You
I'm
must have
saying?
been in those countries with cheap.
No, I wasn't. I'm
No.
not saying that I got any. I just discovered it and wanted it, and so
Yeah, that happens. Well, I was like, what about the Ghostbusters? Real Ghostbusters? Because there was two.
the movie or the cartoon.
The cartoon. The cartoon was. I didn't think I'd like it, and I started watching it. It was pretty good, man.
Never watched it.
Still holds up.
Not saying I wouldn't. I just at the time, I guess I wasn't interested. I don't know.
No, there was two, because there was a Ghostbusters before that, and it was like a gang of detectives or something, and I can't remember exactly, but it's called Ghostbusters, and I always got confused because they said. Then they released Ghostbusters got big, and they released actually Ghostbusters was made by Filmation, who did He-Man and Brave Star and all those things.
I have the power.
Yep.
What a homoerotic cartoon that was,
dude! I haven't watched that since.
Wow,
those were bad. They were bad then. I watched the shit out of them, but that's not like one I would go back and watch.
You know what I did watch? I didn't like He-Man. I watched some of it, but Thundercats was cool.
Thundercats is still great. Me and my daughter went back and watched that a few years ago.
Thundercats was the shit. Fat
Albert, yeah. That was big because that rapist was hosting it. we didn't know he was a rapist yet. We also didn't, we didn't know Velma was gay or Bill Cosby was a rapist yet.
Yellow pudding pop.
But that's fucking nuts, right? Because I didn't know who he was, but he had been in what, I Spy.
They did so much.
Yeah, he had done a lot. And then we'd seen him on Fat Albert, and it was so weird because it was a cartoon, but he was the host,
right? And you still didn't know who he was.
Yeah, and you still didn't know who the fuck he was. And then we found out not too long after that, because I think Fat Albert was 70s, right?
I think it went into the 80s.
Yeah, well, it wasn't shortly like in mid 80s he was doing the Cosby Show,
right?
And then he blew up, but everybody knew who he was before. I think we did,
and then we're like, oh yeah. I remember that dude.
Yeah, dude.
What's up, Fat Albert?
And at that point, he had so many rapes under his belt. It wasn't even funny.
Yeah, just think of makes me wonder now what was in those pudding pops.
Right.
What a creep. That's the weird part, man. He was so famous and so funny. He could have had anyone he wanted, but why do you have to go and do that crap? You know what I mean?
He could have, and
again
maybe though, dude. It's not like he was
It's rape. Rape is not a sexual crime. It's really a crime of control, power, and rage.
Yeah, that's probably a combination of it, but also like a lot of those women that he was doing, they probably weren't going to do him. They were all fucking models and shit. Yeah. Did you listen to that? There was a podcast on where the person actually had like video. Here we go again. Saturday morning cartoons to Bill Cosby's rapes. But I'll just say this. It was incriminating as shit, man. He's basically like, okay, I know you know what happened, and I'm real sorry, and I'd like to put a fund together and send her to college, and like he was just basically fucking admitting it. Like
Cosby?
Yeah, dude. The lady has like all the conversations recorded. If you listen to it, it's fucking terrible, dude, because you're like, oh, he's just coming out, he's admitting it.
Right.
He's just saying, I raped your fucking daughter and I'll put her through college to make up for it. And at one point, the lady says something. He goes, you're not recording us, or because he wouldn't say what happened. He wouldn't say what happened, but we know what happened.
Right.
And the incident kind of thing. Right. But we know what happened. He's going to put her through fucking college. Now, some lady doesn't even know. He's calling her mom. But anyhow, yeah. So that was going on back when we were watching his whoa, 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 or what was it? Hey, hey, hey.
All right, Billy. Have a good night, brother. See you in June. Yeah, dude. I watched Fat Albert. I wouldn't say religiously, sporadically here and there. If I was flipping through channels that just happened to be on, I'd stop and watch it. But it wasn't like, oh man, I gotta get up and see that. You remember like getting up and wrapping a blanket around, you getting a bowl of cereal, sitting down right in front of the TV. Dude, I couldn't wait.
And some mornings I'd get up too early and they weren't on yet, but my parents' cartoons were on. And that was like fucking Rocky and Bullwinkle. And I didn't understand it, but I thought it was good because it was animated. But that was all like war propaganda shit.
Yeah. I used to watch that all the time.
Yeah, dude. And we didn't know what the fuck was going on. If you go back and watch that today, it's all wartime shit. I mean, I think for the most part.
Well, Cold War shit.
Yeah,
Because Boris and
it's all
Natasha
reference to like
Russia versus
America,
US.
yeah, shit like that. It's crazy. But so I would get up too early, and then God forbid the day after. So you got the fucking Saturday morning cartoon hangovers, and I know everybody knows this one. You get up Saturday morning, you have 3 fucking channels to watch, and on one of them is "What Davy." I don't think Dad would like it. It was Davy and Goliath. You remember that fucking wreck?
No, because I never watched it.
My family wasn't religious at all, at least that I knew of. But and I had no idea. But I was hungover for my Saturday morning cartoons. I missed them, and I just sit through that shit. And there was always some lesson in it. Well, Goliath, God says that, and I just like, this is
right.
It's like your stale popcorn.
Yeah,
it's popcorn, and I don't have any more, so I'm gonna eat this shit while I sit here.
You're not leaving the table until you clear your plate, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
No.
Oh, dude, it was like every weekend Davy'd fuck something up. And he had a dog, Goliath. And they were like claymation.
Oh, yeah.
And Davy, every fucking weekend, he'd fuck something up. and they'd end up in a hole or a ditch or stuck in an abandoned building. And Goliath, that smug prick, was always like, Davy, I don't think Dad would like it. And then sure enough, Davey fuck up, step on a nail or something. I'm gonna go get your dad, Davey.
Shut the fuck up, you're a dog. You're not supposed to talk. Go lick your balls.
Like you wouldn't put that fucker down, right? Look, last time, Goliath, last time, keep it to yourself.
Listen, I'm an animal lover.
Walk around with a little needle.
I'm an animal lover.
Syringe.
But the shelter's right there, motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All I got to do is just do a bunch of shit, tear up socks, underwear. Mom, Dad will get rid of your ass. You'll be in a shelter.
That's right.
Find a new home. Probably some guy that hates dogs, really.
Getting raped by another fucking German Shepherd named Butch.
Getting raped, dog rape. Bill Cosby of dogs.
There we go.
He's drugging them up.
Bringing them right back. That's what we call a callback, ladies and gentlemen. I got a yellow pudding pop for you.
So that was like the hungover one, and then finally we started getting cable, and then we would get Kung Fu Theater, wrestling, which we talked about.
I loved Kung Fu Theater, dude.
Yeah,
and I loved even more after it was over, going out with your friends and pretend like you knew fucking Kung Fu and shit.
Dude, I think so many times, like, so we had neighbors behind us, and we were in a cul-de-sac or a circle, whatever you want to call it, and I would go between our 2 houses after watching Kung Fu Theater, and I'd just be like this, like, I mean, doing all that shit like and I get that cringy embarrassment. Like my neighbors, I'll bet they stopped at their window every now and again and went, "Hey, look at this kid.
Helen, the fucking dork's at it again. Come look at this shit.
Look at this kid. He's just, like, I'd be out there pretending." Like, because it's in my mind, it looked really good. Like I knew karate, but I know what they were seeing was just this shit.
Helen, call 911. That boy's having a seizure.
In my mind, I was fighting like 4 guys at once. They probably thought I was swatting at a fucking bumblebee or something.
That boy done got himself into a hornet's nest.
I still get embarrassed about that, dude. I still think
you shouldn't, because every kid did it.
Every kid does it, but it's so man. Like, it's like,
I don't know what's worse, that or going out in a group of kids doing it. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think that's what makes it worse, is that I didn't have anybody else participating. If someone would have been participating, I would have had a member of my craziness.
Yeah. All right. Good point. Touche to that.
Yeah. But it was just me.
But man, I love that.
Dude,
every Sunday, man. Mm-hmm. At least here, it came on every Sunday.
Yeah. Did you ever go throw a football in the air to yourself? Pretend like you were playing football?
Oh, yeah, dude.
Oh, God, look at that. They didn't think, God, my neighbors had to think, this guy.
I had some pretty cringy moments growing up as a kid, man. So I wanted to play football so bad, right? Always wanted to play football. It was my favorite sport.
You're definitely built for it.
But my dad would never let me play. But I was so into it. I don't know why. I don't know what was going through my head at 8 years old. But I convinced them to buy me I don't even want to say this, man, but I'm going to. For many reasons. Back then, I was a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Me too, dude. Who was it? I was just gonna say, I had a fucking Dallas Cowboys helmet. That's it. That just a helmet. So I must have been out there in a t-shirt and jeans, floods. Because remember, we had floods. We had floods. There was no. We talked about this. Your parents would buy you one pair of jeans every 3 years.
Yeah.
And you have patches all over the front knees. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I had a Cowboys hat, and I'd be throwing the ball up to myself. But yeah, everybody was a fan.
So I convinced him, and I don't know. Again, I don't know why. I was a kid, but convinced him to buy me a Dallas Cowboys football helmet, a pair of shoulder pads.
Oh, you had to get up.
And the jersey. And I remember it was Danny White. You know,
Danny White,
when he was
yeah,
quarterback.
Dude, yeah.
Number 11.
Was Danny White quarterback or was he?
Yeah, he was quarterback. You're thinking
Staubach, dude.
No, Danny White. Get your phone out and look it up with your old ass.
All right, no. Go ahead.
Danny White was after Staubach.
Okay. For some reason, I thought Danny White was a receiver, but.
No.
Okay.
You had, I think it was Randy White. Same team, who was offensive lineman.
Maybe that's who I'm thinking of, but I know Danny White too, but go ahead.
But, and so anyway, and that was back in Tony Dorsett days, right? So who wasn't a big Cowboy fan? But I don't know why to this day, maybe it was like, maybe a way of rebelling. Well, if you're not going to let me play, I'm going to make you spend your fucking money on some ridiculous shit that I'll never use. Mm-hmm. But I remember, wearing that shit all the time. And
you just jumped a script though on your stories from earlier. Like they wouldn't buy me shit. They buy you a uniform. Yeah, a better story would have been I tried to get him to buy me a Dallas Cowboys shit. He ended up getting me some wrist tape.
Yeah.
So I just taped my wrist and play in the backyard.
There's always just, I don't know what it was. You want something so bad, you just don't shut up about it,
Yeah, you're a kid.
And so finally it was like, fuck. If I buy this, maybe he'll shut the fuck up for an hour or two. You know what I mean?
Dude, that's what makes a Christmas story so special to everybody our age.
Yeah.
Is because you didn't get everything you wanted.
Right.
You got a few presents. Most of the time, what do you think? 30% for sure was clothes or fucking pair of socks.
Yeah.
You didn't want it. They knew you didn't want it, but they knew they needed to buy you new clothes. Right. So they did it under the guise of a Christmas present.
And I had it doubly worse because my birthday is December 17th. So if you think I wasn't getting shit, Usually it was maybe one thing kind of cool for my birthday.
You were fucking rolling your birthday up into Christmas.
Oh yeah, man. Every year. And I'm not saying I didn't get anything. It's just wasn't the shit I wanted.
Yeah, but none of us got it, dude. None of us got it. Like
every now and then, yes, but it was always like you said, useful items that I needed anyway.
Yeah, well, Star Wars, I'll go back to that, dude, because they're during that period, 77, 78, well, whenever they first got them out, 78, 79, 80, that's all I wanted.
Right.
You just got to give me Star Wars shit and it's a home run. But there was so much Star Wars shit out that I wanted that there's no way you were getting it. Right. And if you were lucky, you might get a figure. Maybe I'd generally get like a play set or something, like a craft. Yeah. But I'd get like the ones that fucking I didn't want. I remember one time I got a pod racer. It wasn't a pod racer. It was a Cloud City one, the two twin.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The fucking brown one. Yeah. I mean, it looked like someone made it in their kitchen.
Like a poop.
Yeah. It was like the dough. And I was like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? And I didn't even have two figures, I don't think, to put in the damn thing. Because you had to put two figures. I didn't have two figures to spare.
Rolling solo.
Yeah, I don't so I ended up having a whole collection of figures, but I'd get like something like that. I was like, man, really? Like instead of an X-Wing, were they out of X-Wings?
Right.
I got this fucking thing, a twin. Really? I got a sand speeder one time, and that's it's only in Star Wars for like 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's at the very beginning. Like really? Like instead of the I don't know, the freaking TIE fighter, I got the fucking sand speeder.
That was cool though, man. The sand speeder really
was cool. Looking back on it, I've thought about rebuying it since because it was one of the ones I had, but dude, I wanted like the Millennium, and you knew you weren't getting that. So that's kind of how it went.
You know what? Looking back on it, I kind of giggle. I see what they did, but I was really big into Matchbox cars back then. I had shit tons of them. And looking back, realize that's one of the cheapest toys you can fucking buy.
But what'd they do, though? I mean, fuck, dude. Now looking back, they were trying to save money?
Who?
Your parents? I don't know about
Yeah,
your parents.
we just didn't have it. So
Well, I go back and look at it now, dude. My dad was driving. By the time I was in high school, my dad got a fucking gold emblem sent to him from Cadillac
damn,
for owning like his fifth
damn.
Cadillac. So this motherfucker's driving a Cadillac around and they're scripting. He's paying for his Cadillac with my Christmas presents, is what he's doing.
So my dad was in the military, which means we moved every 2 years. At one time, they were making 3 mortgage payments. So because the market was shit back then, and so there was no extra. We scrimping to get by a lot of times, so there just wasn't extra money. But eventually we did kind of get out from underneath one or two of those houses, and life got a little bit better. But it was kind of bleak for a while back then.
So most of your Saturday morning cartoons probably came. You were always in different houses, which that is a little different. I don't know what that's like. I'm sure it's special to you. For me, it was always in the same childhood home up until I grew out of cartoons and we finally moved off. But
good evening, Mr. Spencer. I've been expecting you. Just kidding. That's a throwback to last week's James Bond.
All right. I meant to get those books for you too. I thought about it on my way over and I was like, it's too late.
Yeah. The cool thing about that though is every time I hear a song, like say from the 80s or whatever, it always reminds me of a different place,
Mm-hmm.
and I can always instantly recall where I was.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I can recall how old I was at the time,
mm-hmm.
just because of the time frame of where we lived.
So if you had to say, what was your most, because I think we all would have a cartoon or something like that where that was the most special time. We remember that. It's weird because I think a lot of us think of the He-Man because that was such a prominent thing of our child. It's obviously you see it everywhere now. They're making the toys, the classic editions, or springing them off and different ideas and stuff. And it's still a big thing. I'm assuming that's for people our age, or if it's not, then it's people wishing they grew up in the 80s.
That or it's just Hollywood with no original ideas anymore.
Could be, but these are just toy manufacturers, right? They are bringing the cartoons back, but the spawn off on toys is getting huge. I mean, retro is always big. But what do you think? What was the most memorable for you? I say it sounds like it's probably Scooby-Doo.
Scooby-Doo was a big one, but I'm going to go with Looney Tunes because I can remember my dad watching with me.
Yeah, because adults loved Looney Tunes because it was legit funny.
Yeah. So I have to go with Looney Tunes for sure.
Yeah, and I'd probably say the Flintstones. Someone mentioned it earlier, and that was one that I watched. All of those, the Pebbles Bam Bam Hour, the Flintstones Fun Hour, whatever the hell they were. I watched all of those. That if it had the Flintstones attached to it, I watched it. I ate Fruity Pebbles every weekend, probably. I still do. Love them. Love them. I got two favorite cereals.
Fruity Pebbles coming out of the closet. Man, what's going on here?
So two things. Hey! So two things I got to do is I thought about this tonight is we need to do a cereals podcast. All that sugary sweetness we had. Cereal.
Killers?
No, we already did that.
Oh,
yeah. Everyone liked that one, crazy motherfuckers.
It was good. It was a good one.
We need to do a cereals one where like the shit, and I'd like to make a list up for that one because I ate some garbage back in the day. And do you remember when it had no sugar?
I remember going and getting the cheap knockoff shit. It wasn't even in a box. It was in a bag.
Yeah, dude. They still make that knockoff shit, by the way. There's, the big one
is becoming popular now, which is weird.
Corn Pops. Remember Corn Pops?
Oh, yeah.
Like, did you need to make a knockoff of Corn Pops? No one ever really fucking liked it anyway.
What about Sugar Smacks? Let's table this. We'll say this is a whole nother
Let's do this one because that can take us into cartoons because those guys actually had their cartoons. It was the Sugar Bear. What was the bear? There was the General Mills, Count Frankenberry, Count Chocula. They had cartoons.
Funny story about that. So those that don't know, my wife is from the Philippines, right? So she didn't grow up here. It's a crucial part of the story. Didn't grow up with our culture. So we're sitting around down at Heather and Dave's one night. We're playing Cards Against Humanity, right? And I don't remember what the category was, but anyway, she says it had to have been something about cereals or something because she broke out with Count Chocula. And we're all, what?
Like, what the fuck is it?
Let me see that
what
card.
What the fuck is a frush?
Yeah, let me see that card. Count Chocula. Oh my God. And it was funny, but you got to realize, I get it. I don't know if I'd have said the same thing. She didn't grow up here, and robbed the cradle a bit. So she's 10 years younger than me. So there's that gap as well.
Yeah.
But it was fucking hilarious, man.
Yeah.
Love you, honey.
We need to do one of those sometime. I'm trying to think of some more cartoons because I know that I'm missing some. This snorkels. Remember that one?
I never watched that.
It's kind of like the Smurfs.
Yeah,
I did. Don't remember much about it. Thunder the Barbarian, which was a huge 70s one for me.
Oh yeah,
because I loved Conan, read the comics, and then that was like the closest I was getting. But I didn't like it. It was so futuristic. Remember they were like fucking on a different planet.
Yeah. Going back to the Looney Tunes, I always loved the Roadrunner.
Oh yeah, dude, yeah.
But was it Speedy Gonzales was one of my favorites.
What about Pepe Le Pew?
Pepe Le Pew, yeah.
Get that pussy out all the time. He's like, yeah.
I mean, that was the ultimate womanizer right there. You know what I mean? Even as a kid, I got a heebie-jeebie vibe from that creeper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But going back to Speedy Gonzales, as much as I loved him, I loved his cousin Slowpoke Rodriguez even better.
Wasn't he the lazy mouth? He was like the lazy one. It's not, I don't want to do nothing today.
And he was so stereotypical.
Yeah.
Of how society viewed Mexicans back then.
But Mexicans were always hard workers. So it's funny because it was like it would be what's the word I'm looking for? A bizarre. She was calling Bizarro Gonzales, like Bizarro Superman.
Hey, Speedy, slow down, eh?
Yeah.
I love that dude. He was funny.
Slowpoke Gonzales. Jesus, dude.
Yeah, we're sitting there talking, and I can hear all the music in my head from Looney Tunes, because there was a lot of orchestral music back then, and when he's dancing like Bugs Bunny dancing around the different, I can hear it all, man. It's cool to look back, and remember stuff I haven't thought about in decades.
Nostalgia, dude, is the biggest drug out there. I mean, I think they're starting to realize that. That's why we've always had it. That's why you see so much of the shit like that. I have all my action figures and shit like that. I bought because it reminds me of those.
You almost said toys.
Toys, I almost did. They're not toys.
That's
I tell you the time I was putting them together because I've just started to set up that studio area. And I've had these figures for 25, 30 years or more. And I was putting them up one night and my wife looks over at me and she goes, "Oh, look at you playing with your toys." And I was like, that sounds really, really bad. But
yeah, it is.
But that's why that is such a market today. Like I told you, I get on those forums a lot. And these guys, I know it's got to be guys our age, like,
oh, definitely
talking about this, and they're like kids, dude. They're like, "Oh my god, it looks good," and they're just excited as shit. Now, granted, they're not, they've got freaking tumbleweeds in their pants. But
speaking of toys, I'm curious, because Brian Spencer's in the room, and he's older than we are. What do they make toys of back then? Were they just wood? Was it rocks? Just sticks?
It was what was a pickup stick? What is those ones? They had a little circular. I was telling my kids about it the other day.
The pixie sticks?
No, it was like a wagon. It was like a wheel.
Yeah, the Tinker Toys.
Is that what it was?
Tinker Toys. Because you had the what was the log? The log.
That was
the log cabin was different, but yeah, the Tinker Toys.
That was
the little circles.
Lincoln Logs.
And then Tinker Toys, you put the rod, you could build crap with them.
So I used to watch. I read the books, but I think it was F. Scott Fitzgerald. Wrote the books of the Great Brain. Did you ever read those as a kid? So I loved them. And one time, one of the Osmonds played the role of the Great Brain, and I caught it on TV, and I just fucking loved it. But their thing was erector sets.
Oh yeah,
and I remember because I just maybe seen them, but it wasn't. Dude, if I'd have got an erector set for Christmas, I'd have been fucking hot.
If you'd have got an erector set for Christmas, you'd have got an erection. way before your time.
Do you have cricket sound on here? Is it a cricket?
No, don't touch it. Don't touch my board.
This is nothing's off the table board.
Don't touch my board. Damn. Yeah, I remember I had the Tinker toys. I think my grandparents got it for me as a gift, but I always wanted the Erector set because it just seemed. I mean, you could do more with it. It had build motors or get motors and shit, and I mean, I probably wouldn't.
Okay,
have been
yeah,
able,
they had the ones that would move, and you could build like a crane.
Yeah, I probably
Yeah.
wouldn't have been able.
That would have been a lot of money, though,
to
I
make
would
anything.
think.
You know, look, I made a box.
Well, that was how it always went. It got you were like looking at the instructions, like I'm not reading this shit.
Right.
Then
right.
you put like you make an A-frame or something, and
And
go
it's
look.
all off,
Yeah,
crooked. My shit was always. Yeah.
I still don't read directions, dude. I'll I'll pull a cabinet out of a box or something. You got to put this a TV stand, and I'll just put it together. Like I'm
Well,
not reading the
that's
directions.
because you're a man
Yeah.
and we don't read instructions
Well,
until we get frustrated enough to go back and read the instructions.
Well, I look at it this way: I built homes. I think I can put this fucking TV cabinet together. You know.
Oh, not if it's from a China.
True. I will say there are times that I look at this, go, what the fuck is this? I find it interesting. They give you those little wrenches now.
Yeah.
Those little, they're this thinnest paper.
Yeah.
And they put those in there to try to be courteous, but it's like
And you smash
it
your
slid off more times
fingers
than I
and-
got. Yeah, it just slides off all the time. You can't get it over the freaking. You got to lay it on top and let it fall down over it.
Yeah.
And then twist it and hope you don't twist too. It doesn't get too tight because it's
Right.
not tightening it.
Damn knuckle
It's
busters.
physics,
man.
pure physics. Yeah, man, that's all I can. Can you think of any more?
Oh, let's see. Yeah, I can't really think of. I can't differentiate between. I can't remember if they were Saturday morning or crap. I would either watch before school or after school. I do remember watching Bullwinkle though,
Mhm.
Rocky and Bullwinkle. Every morning I would get up.
They were on, if you got up too early, Saturday mornings.
And
they were on like at 5, remember? 4:30, 5 o'clock.
yeah,
Our time or whatever.
what was that dude Sherman?
Mm-hmm.
Because that was on in the mornings too.
They just made a movie of that. Sherman
Yeah, they
and
did.
His dog.
Yeah, the dog was some smart fucker or something, or was it the other way around? I don't remember. But yeah, that used to come on in the mornings, and then, I remember Tom and Jerry being on a lot in the afternoons, coming home from school.
Mm-hmm. Looney Tunes.
Heckle and Jekyll.
Heckle and Jekyll.
Yeah, I remember them.
And they were funny.
Yeah, they were funny.
Smart ass crows.
But again, I think that was either before or after school. I don't remember them being on Saturdays.
I'm sure they were. That's what I'm trying to say is I think that a lot of the stuff
They
we
might have
thought
been.
was because we were seeing it in the syndication because it must have been on at some point on Saturday mornings.
Here's Richie Rich.
Oh, fuck, dude. I can't believe I didn't think of that. So my best friend, he was a Hispanic kid, loved Richie Rich. And so we were in 3rd, 4th grade at the time. And he loved Richie Rich. And I just thought that was so funny. So you know how you've had your cartoons, and mine were always the Flintstones. So I had to watch like the Flintstone Kids. He'd watch Richie Rich. But I watched them all anyway. But I watched Richie Rich too and loved Richie Rich, but didn't let him know I liked Richie Rich because that was his thing and I had my thing. He wasn't supposed to like mine as much as I liked mine. And I wasn't supposed to like his. You know how that went.
Isn't that funny?
But Richie Rich, dude, that was good. How did we relate to that? He had, remember they had hedges shaped like dollar signs? What a pompous prick.
Right? But that wasn't him. That was his parents.
His dad, what was his dad's name?
I don't know.
Like Don Rich
Dick.
or something. Yeah, Dick Rich.
Dick.
They had like heads and they had that stupid butler. Was it
Yeah.
was it Robot Butler? I'm thinking of Jetsons, aren't I?
No, I think that was in a later spinoff. Was it Jeffrey? No. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. I think we related because the way they wrote that character is that he wasn't an ass, he was just a rich kid.
Oh, dude, now you got me going.
Uh-oh.
Because I can't believe I forgot that one, but I just thought of 2 more.
See if it's the same one I'm thinking of. Go ahead.
Gilligan's Island. They did a cartoon there.
Really?
Yeah.
I never watched that.
it was only on for a couple seasons, but
Huh.
it was just like, because Gilligan was huge in the 60s, right? But it was only on for like 3 seasons. It went off and then it started making movies and then it made a comeback, I think, in the 70s.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it was Gilligan's Island, but it was Gilligan. I think they were still stuck on the island, but it was a cartoon.
Everybody else escaped, but these two retards,
Dude, might have to look
I never
that up.
watched the cartoon. I watched Gilligan's Island all the time, but never the cartoon. The other one now I just lost it. So there was Richie Rich and it's almost there. Nope, it's gone.
Okay, I got one for you.
God,
Maybe
so
this is what you were thinking of. The Dukes of Hazzards had one.
Oh my God. No, I never watched that either. See, I don't even remember that.
They had it because the show was so popular. So the Dukes came on what, 79? 78, 79? I watched that fucking thing every Friday night.
Oh, yeah, man.
And then they came out. It got so big. I had their toys. I still got the toys.
Good old boys.
Got those those toys.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do. I got the old Amigos.
I totally miss that.
Yeah. I got them in the package.
You just told on yourself.
I know. I love them. Yeah, I got them in the package from 1980s, 70s, 80s.
I remember Inspector Gadget.
Oh, yeah. I even know the song, but I can't think of it. So, the story about that, dude, is when my kids were growing up, that was like on Netflix or something, and they loved the shit out of that show. They could still, so that must have held up because they could go back and watch that like it was something.
But you know what that was a spinoff of?
Get Smart?
Yeah.
Okay, now I didn't know that, but it
makes sense, doesn't it?
Because I loved Get Smart. I didn't watch it as a kid.
By that much.
That was a great show. That needs to come back. Not remade, but it needs to be rerun like on Tubi or something.
Yeah.
They have the movie on it. But Get Smart, dude, that's a great show. If you get into that.
Matthew Broderick, is that right? Is that who played Get Smart?
Well, they did a movie, right?
Yeah.
I think you're right.
He did. And
I
it
never
just
seen
wasn't
that.
the same.
Yeah, I never seen it.
I watched it. I remember going to see it, and I remember not really liking
The Office guy.
Steve Carell?
Yeah, I think he did it too.
Oh, really? Wow.
What am I thinking of? Get Smart? You're thinking of Inspector Gadget.
Yes.
I think it was, yeah. Well, anyhow.
But I loved I loved watching the old reruns of Get Smart. You know,
dude, those are great.
Damn telephone in the shoe and.
Yeah, so there was, I think, Nick at Night or TV Land. When I was like in my early 20s, I had never really watched it much, but knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And they did like a marathon. Like,
wow.
Remember how they used to do that?
Yeah.
And I just started watching. Like, man, this fucking thing's funny.
Yeah, my parents used to watch it. So I remember watching it with them. You know, and it was a good show.
He was charming. He was funny. He was very likable.
And he was a bumbling idiot.
Yeah, but he thought that he was smart as hell. Yeah.
Right. But he, you know, why he was successful is because he was a bumbling idiot with a great heart.
Yeah, and you got to be this certain kind of character to play that. And, you know, like they're just throughout history. If the show's good, it's like Magnum PI. That was a good show, but it was the star. Tom Selleck was liked by women. Mm-hmm. Guys wanted to be him. Girls wanted to be with him. He was very likable, self-deprecating, knew his limits, but never quit. And
it's just a good show.
Yeah, but everything he's in successful. Everything. And that's because he is who he is. He's that guy. And there's a lot of actors like that. Sometimes it doesn't transcend past anything, but like Get Smart's a good one. Mm-hmm. Like where he just kind of was great in that, but he doesn't go any farther afterwards.
Yeah, he had a good run while he had it. But so Inspector Gadget, I remember, I think that was on in the afternoons. And when it came out, that's about the time I was like getting out of cartoon because, you know, being a teenager, those are for babies.
So you must have missed the whole Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was still kind of watching that because I didn't mind them. Even in high school, I'd come home and still watch them after school. And
you know, I never watched the cartoon, but I've seen the movies.
I've seen those movies in the fucking theater, dude.
Wow.
Well, so my best friend's dad was a cop, and he did a side job where he would
selling coke.
selling coke. So I would go to lines of Coke and buy tickets to movies that I
Nice.
didn't want to see. No, he was his side job was the parking lot security at a movie theater. Yeah, so like there were times when
Beggars can't be choosers, right?
yeah. So I'd go down and just see him because I got along with him so well. Actually, for me and my dad would always argue, and I'd go stay with them. He was like my second dad, and he would I'd show up and we'd talk and BS, and then he'd go, "Come on," and he'd go through the back door and walk me in and sit me down for all those movies.
I
all
don't
the
like
time.
where this conversation's going, pal.
Then he'd say, "You ever seen a grown man naked?" No, I was old enough. I was like 17 at that point, so.
Oh, so you willfully.
I'd already sucked so many dicks.
Yeah,
You weren't nothing was surprising me at that point.
It makes sense. You came out of the closet when you were done reading,
Dennis the Menace book. Yeah. My flashlight.
Right. Your flashlight. Yeah. I get it.
Says the guy that fucking was on a freaking boat for 20 years underwater.
Fucking judge me.
How dare you? It's me or nobody.
How dare you? Crew needs morale. God damn it. How dare you, sir?
That's a good one though. You know what? I might have to check out the Gilligan's Island on YouTube. Forgot all about that. I know they had one. I know they had a Dukes one. For some reason, the Dukes one had something crazy. Like they all did. Remember they would throw like He-Man threw in Orca. Orca wasn't in the Orca didn't even exist in that fucking world and they threw him in. Gadzuki. Remember when the Flintstones started going stale and they put in fucking Gadzuki?
I don't
Gadzooks. He was the alien.
Jeez.
I think it was played by Harvey Korman.
Oh, God.
And he'd voice it and go, "You dum-dums, what do you dum-dums want today?"
What about, no, never mind. There goes that thought. Fuck.
You know what? We should have made a list.
Yeah, I probably should.
We talked more about making a list than we did actually making a list.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Just feeds into my laziness.
Well, what happens is when you make a list, one of the things that sucks about that is you
got to check it twice.
You check it twice, make sure. Yeah. Well, you want to start. I always get carried away and I go, "Well, I'll mark the date that this was made," and then it gets so carried away that you
have 10
kind of
pages of
lose
notes.
like what we're doing now.
Yeah.
The conversation.
I think it's fun spot remembering things.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You'll say something that'll spark a memory in me. Oh yeah, I think that's way cooler. And when it's on a list, it's more structured. You don't have the freedom really to do that a lot. I don't think it's just more freeing this way.
Yeah, because what ends up from what I've noticed, what happens with us a lot, at least with me when I do it, is I'll make this list and I'll spend so much time making the list that I take it like gospel.
Right.
Like everyone needs to know that I took
get
time.
This shit
I got to get
out.
it in, and I'm like getting freaking disappointed. I can't get in. I look down at my list. Sometimes I look down at my list, and I'll go, "Fuck! I only talked about one thing. Well, I need to hurry up and slip all this shit in." So, and it's like,
I'm such a failure.
It's just not natural at that point.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I kind of like this format better. Although, if we were to make a list, little notes, I'm not gonna make. I'm not gonna make the mistake again of writing down a whole bunch of shit.
And we don't give a fuck. We'll talk about pretty much anything.
Yeah.
So we could always come back and amend it.
Exactly. Like the 25th Amendment.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
I couldn't help it. I had to.
I know. Here we go.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, we're going.
I was just thinking January 6th, but I got some talk on that. We can do that another time.
Yeah, we'll do that another time. Yeah, I think that's about it that I can remember for Saturday morning. I do remember Looney Tunes being my favorite for sure. Just because
Muppet Babies was big. I didn't really watch that. I didn't either.
I couldn't get into that shit.
Berenstain Bears had a program on for a while.
Trash either.
That's trash. Shit's been around since Christ was on a cross.
Watch that trash.
Freaking guys rolling over his grave. There was a lot. I know we're missing, but there was also a lot. Oh, dude, fuck. Teen Wolf. Do you remember that one?
No, I remember the movies with Michael J. Fox, but
they made a cartoon. It was like 2 or 3 seasons, and I've watched the shit out of that. And it's crazy to think because I thought that I was older, but I must not have been. I had to maybe be in 6th, 7th grade when that came out. But I watched the shit out of those, and it was the same setup as the show. I think there was a few things that may be different, but same friends, same everything.
So they came out with a series. I don't know how many years ago. Not too many. Teen Wolf series. It's like this.
Serious, right?
It's horrible.
Yeah,
Man.
I wouldn't watch it. Yeah.
Connie loves it, but again, Connie doesn't remember and never saw the original Teen Wolf.
Yeah, that makes sense.
To me, it's absolute fucking garbage. I don't knock her for liking it.
She just doesn't know.
It going through watching the movies back in the 80s and all that nostalgia, coming excited. Oh, they're doing Teen Wolf, and what the hell is this crap?
Yeah, I said it once. I said it a million times, dude. If you have something that you like, I love Teen Wolf. Grew up with it. It became big after he did Back to the Future. They released it. He'd actually made it before, but they thought, well, let's strike while the iron's hot.
Right.
They released it. Wasn't the best show. I loved it, but it wasn't the greatest show. And it took place in my hometown, Nebraska, right? So you see the Husker shit on the wall, so I could relate to that. But yeah, if you hold something dear to your heart, if you like something, no matter if it's Dallas or it's Dynasty or it's Gilligan's Island, you do not want them remaking it right now. You want them to stay the fuck away from it.
Look at Magnum PI.
Yeah, and that's even
Hawaii Five-0.
All of them, dude.
Oh, it's just awful.
In Hawaii, I used to watch Hawaii Five-0 in Vegas. That new one that came out, it wasn't. Something happened in 215. I was just telling my wife the other day. We were looking through shit, and I almost have a cutoff line, and it's about. I can do a lot of 70s. I can do 60s. I can do classics. I can do 80s. I can do some 90s. Been kind of venturing back into that a little bit, although it's still fresh to me. I can do 2000s. That starts to get a little. It's kind of slipping out of my age but if it gets to 2010, 2015, I start to worry. I can't really go past 2015. That's when the shit, and then Trump got in the office and it all went bad. And it's no joke, dude. But if you like something, like I was a huge Magnum fan, right? You're hopeful for them to make it. A couple years ago, I'm a huge Coach fan. Remember Coach with Hayden?
Yeah.
Craig T. Nelson? Love that show. They were talking about remaking it. And wouldn't you know, wasn't going to be him. He was going to be in it, but they were going to have his daughter, not son. He had a daughter, and she was a basketball coach.
I'm just going to stop you now.
It didn't happen. But that's when I started realizing, as much as I loved that show, would love to see it again. If you love it. And I hear people make this mistake all the time. I see it online. Oh God, I wish they would do it. No. If you really like it, you wait till we're out of this funk that we're in.
Well,
and then remake it.
I think it's a huge testament to the actors of the original shows, because they made the show. And
the writers were good.
The writers were good, but the actors is what they pulled it off, right? They made you believe, they made you get on board and want to root for them and be in their corner. And then, that's what you're used to. And it's like, mom got divorced, and who's this fucking dude coming schlepping her? I don't know you, pal. Get the fuck out of here. You ain't my father.
Yeah, there's. I was actually listening to a podcast the last couple of days on mood lighting, which I never watched, but I kind of want to start watching that now because I heard it. Just heard him talking about it, and it kind of got me interested in it. Yeah, and I like 80s shit. Just never was into that rom-com kind of shit or whatever it was.
Right.
Somebody said it perfect. It was they have a web. They brought in this podcast company, not company, but if they're fans, and all they do is moonlighting, and they were interviewing them. And they go, so when do you think it started to differ? And they go, well, when so-and-so kind of quit writing, wasn't doing it as much. He goes, they were like, it's a testament to the writers. It really is. And I thought, that's so fucking true. So they started talking about like the West Wing, which I never watched. And they were saying, you can start to tell when the so-and-so's not, the main writer wasn't writing as much. You can see the episodes, like they'll skip over the episodes. And the other guys were interviewing were saying this. And I thought, that's so fucking true. And that is why everything sucks, because we don't have writers. We have activists.
Yeah, that's true.
And you can't get down with something when it's not, they're not talented enough to keep you involved.
Well, right back in that circle, didn't
we? Yeah, no, we fucking sure did, but we're going to stay away from it. But that's what I say is like, because we were talking, like, I'd like to see a Get Smart again. Yeah. I'd love to see a Get Smart. I'd love to see a Coach redone. He's probably too old now, but before he died, it would have been nice. I think it's a great thing that they don't.
One of my guilty pleasures was, and it was an awful. Well, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't that great of a series. But Spencer for Hire.
Yeah, well, I used to read those books.
I
Robert B.
really
Parker.
liked
Books are great.
that show. And then when they came out and they did that spinoff with Mark Wahlberg, I actually thought they did a pretty good job. Surprisingly,
dude, I can't do Wahlberg, and I know he's kind of along the lines of us thinking wise now. He's moved to Vegas. He said he had to get the fuck out of Hollywood. They're crazy. Mm-hmm. I watched a movie. I can't even remember what it was called. It was. I just remember the line. He goes, "It's the wind. The wind's doing it." And I remember I can't. It was like a M. Night Shyamalan movie or some shit. God. Like the wind was blowing through the trees, and that's what was. M. Night Shyamalan's trash anyways. Everything he does sucks. But he had a fucking grand slam when he first started, and he should have just cleared the bases and quit.
Right.
But he didn't.
How dare you talk about M. Night Shyamalan ding dong like that?
Dude, name another fucking movie that guy did. Did you ever see Glass?
No.
Well, yeah, it's fucking terrible.
Sixth Sense was.
That's good.
That was good. Yeah. Signs was good.
That's Drop the Mic. That's fucking, you drop the mic and we always wonder.
Everything else Sense is trash.
Yeah, you had to know you were a hack, right? You had to know, and you just got away with it. You drop that fucking mic. You maybe fake your death. Go live somewhere. He's probably a millionaire, billionaire at that point. Fake your death. Never write another movie. We're talking about you today. God, what a director that guy would have been.
If I would have directed and written Signs afterwards, I'd have been like, dodge that fucking bullet.
Fuck, dude. I fucking love Mel Gibson. And when he played it out, I thought, this has got to be good. And then I seen it. I was like, this. And that was when we were still under his hypnosis of, well, he's got to be good. He did The Sixth Sense.
Right.
And then
that movie, I felt like I was waiting the entire movie for it to go somewhere and get good.
There is nothing worse than someone that drinks their own Kool-Aid. Yeah. There's just nothing. Dude, we see it in sports all the time.
Yeah.
You see her hype up a team. Oh, this team's for real. And they fucking drink the Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yep. And then next thing you know, fucking they lose their last 6 straight.
What happened?
Yeah, and that's what happened in M. Night Shyamalan. He bought into that. I'm a fucking genius after Sixth Sense. His first movie.
Great movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of directors like that, dude. You just, well, not a lot. Not that we're hyped as much as him and just had no follow through.
Yeah. Well, screw that guy.
Yeah, fucking stop. So there was a show on Apple TV. I can't remember what it's called. He had done it, and I knew better.
You watch it anyway?
I fucking did, and I kept going.
Oh my!
It's like your hands on the oven, the stovetop,
and it hurts,
and it's burning. You're like, "Ah, that fucking hurts." And someone says, "Well, pull it off, you idiot!" And you're like, no. And then the smoke's coming up. So I made it like in the season 3.5.
Holy shit!
And I stopped. And
what do you remember? What it was? That doesn't matter. It's an M. Night Shyamalan.
It was it was a couple married. They'd had a miscarriage or some shit, or she left a baby in a car and it died. It was on Apple TV.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And it went nowhere, dude. I mean, it went fucking just like
it should have went to jail for killing her child.
Picture she didn't. Picture a show, an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and then picture something where it just. Picture a series where he's got all the time in the world. And it was supposed to be 5 years. I think they canceled it.
I hope so. Sounds like a crock of shit. Hey, look at that. It's 10 o'clock. We should probably wrap it up. You need to get that young lady home, and I need to get my kids to bed and feed my fat ass. But, hey, thanks for everybody for tuning in and listening and watching. And what are we doing next week, do we say?
Let's do
cereal.
Let's do cereals, dude. I'll make a.
They're great.
There's some shit. Smurfs Crunch, by the way, dude, was so good. But I'm going to talk about that a lot.
I'm going to talk about Count Chocula.
Oh,
anyway,
we should get Connie down here for that. That'd be great.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye.